I usually start my process with some warm-ups and then just go at it with the very messy blocky shapes to get something on the paper that I can tweak and fix rather than, you know, getting it directly to the paper on the first try, because it's easier to see than it is to think. I don't like thinking too much during the best of days, and while doing designing characters, I like to visibly see what is going on. And while I work with a very messy sketch like this, I have a little bit of freedom of like interpretation of what is on the paper, even though it's literally something I just drew, but the abstract shapy things give me inspiration. With mechanical designs like these ones are, I often go inward into the design. So I start with the silhouette and the bigger shapes, and then I just start breaking that up. It's much easier, and the end result will still have like complexity and layers, but I don't need to think about all of that at once. I affectionately call it clutter detail, but it's very important that there is a clear shape underneath it all, that it's easy to follow. While choosing colors for designs, I do a mixture of how to pick the colors. I often start with like either picking or color picking, like the first color, and from there I usually like eye up against the colors, like which colors work with that specific tone. And quite often I also just use the hue shift. You see me here also switching off the colors, so I work with black and white because it's just easier to see the value differences with the different colors, especially with the more contrasty designs. But the values, some colors have their value kind of inherited from the hue. So I do struggle a bit with some of the hue decisions. I think the star design, for an example, that I'm currently working on, it took me a while to come up with to use just like green looking tone, because I wanted to keep it as blue as possible and make it like very aquatic. And I ended up also breaking the blue kind of single hued design on the star by slapping some orange into the fins. So yeah, that was that. With the pop design, which is very like carnival and circus coded, I chose to go with the split design. I love split designs, and I have a bit of a tendency to do them a lot. Unintentionally, of course, unintentionally. But this one I think I did very well with the color choices. It's not too contrasting or like eye-straining. With the oat one, I wanted to stay very earthy, but I had kind of like a ethereal idea and a back burner for the like unicorn look with the horn and with the pose and having like this very serene expression on the character. So I ended up slapping a lot of color on just the tip of the tail. I think the design came out fun, and I do think the colors on all of these are solid. They are easy to read, and the characters don't have like pointless tones in them. With some, I think I did some mistakes from the initial sketch moving on to the coloring. The roller one, I was supposed to give him pigtails. That was the original like idea behind the little ribbon that comes from the behind the cap. But I scrapped that because I colored it wrong. I like to call it sketchy and very bold outlining style for these. And I actually used the same brush that I used for sketching for this step, because I am going to go in and clean up the outlines and contrasting bits of the picture later with the sharper brush. But I do like the little kind of sketchy look that this brush gives, that is more floaty and has quite a bit of transparency. I just like slap some limbs in there. I'm like, I hope they are in a correct spot. And I think one of the fins is on a wrong perspective. I noticed it way later after finishing this picture. I've like started to rethink one of the fins, but just don't look at it too hard. I usually always start with the eyes, because those are like the hardest to get to look good. So I like giving them first, drawing them first, then drawing everything around them, and then going back into looking at the eyes and having kind of a fresh look of the first thing I drew. Because usually the eyes will require some movement and tweaking to get them to look natural, because that's the like easiest uncanny bit to spot for a human brain, like when you're looking at some impression of a face, whether the eyes look correct. So I like to put effort into having the eyes look as correct as possible. With this one, I think I go in tweaking the eyes throughout the process of doing the outlines. And I have some trouble with the frilly bits. I call them frills, even though they're like supposed to be mechanical, but at the same time look like frills. So I had some trouble while rendering them. I think the end result is still cute, but if I had all the time in the world, I would maybe go back and get them less harsh. Currently the contrast on them is a bit harsh. I was doing those shapes there and I just realized like, oh, it kind of looks like they have an AirPod on. So I just put an AirPod or something resembling an AirPod. And you can see that the color on the opposite side is wrong. Like, yeah, I fixed it later, but also the mechanical hind legs that are supposed to resemble stockings, and they're kind of wrong colored. Here I go back into tweaking the lines a bit, but my main focus here is that they are readable. Like, just with the lines, you know what is going on with the designs. And then I go in coloring. I do a mixture of just filling in some colors with very busy line art. But because the line art is very kind of sketchy and the line weights are very varying. You can see me miscolor the stocking bits. Funny. Anyway, the lines are not very reliable for coloring, so I do go in, which is brush, and I have the outline as like a transparent layer, so I can see that I for sure color underneath the lines, because I will be using like a line coloring, I don't know what those are called, like a quick action that relies on the color being underneath. Because I like having some variety on the inner outlines colors. That's a complicated word. Anyway, I just clean the outlines here with the colors. I don't know, I like the carnival design a lot. I think it came out super cute. I did have some trouble with this one because I forgot where the colors were supposed to go, and I think I just like came up a new way of coloring while working on this. I started using the fill line tool, like lasso fill tool. I have used it before. It's not like I didn't know it exists in the program, but I quite rarely use it like this. And I think I go ahead and use it for the rest of the picture. It's very handy while working with like a mechanical bits that have a lot of sharp and, you know, straight lines. Because you can just select from the tip of the line to the other side of the tip and it'll fill in a straight line for you. But yeah, you can see me still using the lasso fill tool, not the brush anymore. I think here I fixed the color. Yes, I fixed the colors good. And I flipped which way the ribbon has the colors. I don't know why. Like, it's beyond me. I go in and do the line colors, I think. Yes. And then I struggle a bit to think to how I'm gonna shade them. Because I want to give them some like shade to give them like more dimension. But I don't want them to look too rendered. I like doing like very sharp highlights for mechanical parts. And usually that balances well with very big gradients that are not like super rendered, but are like clearly there. And there are some portions on the characters where big gradients just won't work. So I had some trouble there figuring out like what am I gonna do. And this first pass for the highlight, I scrapped it very quickly because I was starting to work with like some subtle gradients and smaller gradients and mixing those in with the sharp lines. But I changed my mind. I wanted to have just the sharp highlights and then mix in the soft shades later. I do slap some blush there because I think it looks cute. But I don't do that for the other designs, so this one is just special. Also, I put very bold occlusion shadows. I don't know, I like it, gives like a cartoony look in my opinion, and it works super well with small pictures like this. I have a tendency of putting it especially like underneath the neck, just like a small blob of black underneath the neck to give the depth to the face. Also all the round like indents get that same treatment. And I'm very happy how the tail detailing came out on this one. The tail is kinda in the forefront of the design, so I might have went a bit detailed with it, but I like it. I usually, when I render metallic characters or characters with metal with them, I try to keep a little bit of a balance between having a very shiny metal and having like more rough, more textured metal. And with the more textured, I like just give them a smaller highlight and don't give them the sheen effect at all. And for this, I give all the ear bits the highlights of like something super textured. It's very matte. And the highlights are just like those small little blobs instead of the like big blobs of like glossiness. Because the classes are super glossy on this design. And there's a lot of like soft textures. So I thought it will work better that way. I had very shiny metal, so to speak, on the tips of the wings on the bottom part of the mecha part. And of course the hair has bigger highlights, but yeah. For this one I went all in with the shininess on the orbs, and I had some difficulty designing how I'm gonna highlight the face. Because the character is leaning a little bit forward. We see the top of their face, so the light needs to come from underneath if we want to do the like the classic highlight on the cheek that I currently have on the design. But that would also like light most of the forehead, I think. But yeah, I just kind of ignore lighting on the forehead of that design. Let's just agree that the orbs suck all the light into them, so there's no light on the forehead. You see me like zooming out and in of the picture quite a few times during this process. That's just so I can see how well the picture reads. Even though I usually have it on the top right corner, it's nice to kind of check. When I start working on the soft shading, which is just like big gradients, mostly just applied on a larger shapes and rounded shape, I give those as a separate layer so I can remove them, because they do tweak the tones quite a bit and make the objects kind of look different color. So it's clear that that's not the like which color to pick from the gradient or the design. But yeah, we're nearing the end of the video. I'm very happy how these came out, and they are mechpets and I adopt them. I run the closed species on my Discord. These are up for 30 euros, I think, yes. And sales like that are to fund the platform that the species are gonna run on. This was very different than what I usually do on my YouTube channel, but if you like this video, please let me know in the comments so I know that there's a reason for me to push record in the future too when I'm working on these character designs, because I do these quite often. I'm very happy how this batch came out, and I hope you're having a lovely day. It's tough out there, I know, but it's okay. We'll make it through. One day at a time.